You've played 4 dates in Spain already and a couple of dates in Germany. How is the new tour shaping up?
It's getting there. It's we keep changing it every night, slightly, because you don't actually find out how well the set works until you try it. So the first couple of nights, you're just getting over the initial nerves and the initial problems of actually being able to play the songs. And I remember everyone had bits of paper, like notebooks, sitting next to them on stage saying, Dance with Tears in My Eyes, guitar, so you remember what you're playing in it. And am I playing bass or guitar, or which setting do I sit this one? And you've got to go through all that stuff. So once you get through all that, then you realise that the set isn't working the way you'd like it to work. There's maybe a lull in the middle of it, so you've got to swap things round a bit and just keep trying things until you get it right. But it's getting really quite good now.
What sort of venues have you been playing over there?
Oh, it was a real mixture.
That's from sports stadiums, and then one was just like a large club. One was like the Electric Ballroom used to be, and one was a cycling stadium, one was just an ordinary sports stadium. I can't even remember the last one.
Yeah, it was a real mixture. There was a couple of small stadiums.
You ran into a few problems on the quartet tour last year trying to get the set all around the world. Has this set proved to be more flexible?
No.
Not at all, no. It was meant to be. Well, it's flexible in a way that, if you play a much smaller place, you can just knock bits out of it and it doesn't really, it doesn't sort of harm the look of it. Whereas the quartet one was such a solid set structure that when you had to knock a bit off it, this big structure at the back all of a sudden didn't become a big structure anymore. There was no legs to it. It just looked like a big lump of wood behind you. So the actual shape of it was affected then, but the shape of this doesn't really matter because you can stick bits anywhere and it actually looks all right. It's a bit of an organised mess.
Yeah, the more sort of chaotic this one looks, the better it looks really.
Were you able to sort of put your original plans into operation, or did you have to modify it a bit?
That's pretty close to the original idea, isn't it?
Yeah, we've actually got it working the way we wanted. It's just a problem. You've got to take more than you would actually need, so that you can, when you do adapt it, you've got to stick up new bits on, smaller trussing sections and things. It's all quite technical, but it's a lot easier this time. I think it'll be a lot easier once the crew get into the swing of being able to put it up and pull it down and things. I mean, the first few concerts, the crew actually took like 6-7 hours to dismantle it, and the normal breakdown time should be about 3 hours. So they're finding that a bit hard, but I think the more we do, the easier it's going to come for them.
Though the album's very relaxing, the recordings came a lot more powerful than certainly the last couple of albums. Is that something that's a natural progression, or did you actually give everything to make a harder album this time?
Well, it's not like it's been a shock to us or anything to do the album on our own. We've always felt that every single record we've done, although we've worked with other people, we've maintained the final control. It's always been up to us in the end as to whether we keep anything. It's final word has been ours. We liked having other people around because it's easy to bounce ideas off of someone. And when we did this one, it just happened. I mean, there was no calculated philosophy behind it. We didn't think, okay, this is the one we do by ourselves. It just worked out that way. We simply couldn't think of a person we wanted around for this one. I thought, let's not make an issue of it, let's not push it, we'll just do it ourselves. And we quite got into the idea of doing that. And as far as the sound of it goes, it's a very intangible thing. You have a rough impression of the areas you want to try and succeed in, or things you want to steer clear of that you remember you learned from having done the last record. Your taste changes in between doing albums, so you really have to just start doing it and see which way it wants to go by itself, and then follow that.
When you go into the studio to make an album, do you go in with songs already done, or are they half done? Or do you intend to go into the studio and sort of work from there?
They're sort of half done in the way that it's nearly all the music's nearly all completed when we go in, and the lyrics tend to come at various points really. So it's a bit half and half really.
We've done it in quite a different ways. You can follow the progress really through the 4 albums. The Vienna album was taken out and played live a lot, and we put that down very quickly in 3 weeks, in fact. The second one, we decided that we'd go off and do it in the studio out there for 3 months. It took us actually back at Connie's place. So that really was more of a studio album. It was quite
From one extreme to the other.
Yeah, it was a bit like that from one extreme to the other. I think we balanced out a bit more. So Quartet was more rehearsed. That's the way George preferred, George Martin. You know, it's quite rehearsed really, the whole thing. And I think we've got quite a happy medium on this album. That's why this it's quite a confident album, quite a strong album. Because I think we've hit a happy medium through the experience, you know.
You actually went up to the Isle of Lewis to write a lot of the lyrics for the new album. Does that account for the very heavy Scottish feel of it, do you think?
There is a bit of it. It's quite a awe-inspiring place. It's strange to think that, you know, I've spent 3/4 of my life so far living up there, and I'd never seen any of that part of it. And when Chris and I went up there, it was quite a stunning place to go to. It's so radically different from anywhere else I've been to in Britain. Some areas of it are just incredibly sparse. I mean, there's just nothing there at all. They're so desolate that there's no trees there. And some of the other areas are incredibly beautiful, like Lewis was nice, and Skye was fabulous. Skye was really nice. And it does all this sort of come gushing back, you know. I mean, all this sort of feel of being there, you know. It's actually quite strong. And when we were there, we found these Killarney standing stones, which I'm sure nobody else has ever seen before in their lives. I think we actually discovered them. I mean, when you think that these things have been there for 5,000 years, it's quite breathtaking.
Apart from the differences in recording that you've talked about, how does Lament stand up to your previous albums?
I actually do honestly believe it's the best album we've ever done, because it's one of the only ones where I can listen to it now. And normally, when we've done an album, I can't. I mean, in fact, I don't listen to any of the other albums. And this one, it's just like okay to listen to, easy listening.
Is it a step forward or a step sideways, do you think?
I think all our albums are a bit of everything, a step forward, a step sideways, and a bit of a step backwards, because we sort of draw on from what we've done before. But it's just the way we like working. I mean, if we just suddenly went rockabilly overnight, you know, I think it'd be absolutely disastrous. So we don't ever sort of take a huge sort of leap into some sort of unknown area, but what we do is we use everything that we've experienced before, and we just move it onto a new area that we particularly like.
Do you think it's likely that you will produce your own albums in the future as well?
Well, no, I don't know. It was interesting this time, and now that we know we're actually capable of doing it, it won't be as much of a headache thinking about it. You know, it was actually a lot easier than we anticipated. But we always find it interesting working with other producers. I mean, I think we're still interested in working with Connie Plank again. because there's a bit of a magic combination between Connie and ourselves. But the circumstance would have to be right. I don't think we'd spend another 3 months out at Connie's studio, trying to learn how to speak German.
It'd be difficult to get him out of Germany.
And it's very difficult to get him out of his own studio, so we need to come to some sort of compromise. I'm sure we could turn my back garden into a farmyard or something. He'd be more than happy.
How does your overseas success happen? Since Vienna onwards, it's escalated right around the world. Different territories each year became interested in Ultravox, much more than they were the year before.
It's just really through taking the show. Just like this country, it's the same. We try and keep it the same in other countries. We tour a lot, really, to get that success. And to relate back to a band developing, the people develop into the band.
We actually keep quite a lot of control over what goes out abroad, and we don't let anything sort of substandard come out at all. I think it's just basically people sort of understand that what we do has got a certain quality to it, and it never changes. I just think we've sort of strengthened that following.
Sponsored on tour, and you picked a very interesting way of presenting your tour booklet. Where did that idea come from?
Well, the sponsorship idea was just something that came along. I think probably through working with Levi's in the past. Chris and I did the music for one of their adverts. We got to know the advertising agency and things, and of course I think the advert's up for some award just now for the music, which is very nice. Just even being nominated for it's very nice. So that was like the connection made there. And of course Levi's have sponsored David Bowie and Roxy Music, and it's nice to think that we're the next band in line that they're going to work with on sponsorship. Sponsorship means that they put money towards the actual tour, which means we can keep the ticket prices at a reasonable price, and we can do things like the programme we're doing. Now we've had a bit of help there from Sony as well, so rather than just do a straightforward booklet type programme, we're doing an audio-visual programme, which I think it's the first time it's ever been done. We're not quite sure. So this cassette that you're actually hearing just now, it was given to us by Sony, which means that we could do that. So the booklet has nothing but photographs and lyrics in it. So it just means that it's much more interesting than flicking through the book and hearing us prattling on in your headphones. It's a great idea. So we've got to thank Sony and Levi's for letting us do that.